What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. In this video, we're diving into the highly charged and important topic, the recent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. We're going to be exploring how narratives shape our actions and reactions, and I'll be sharing my insights and reactions on some latest news. Just a few days ago, we witnessed a shocking event, the first assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, and this is the first assassination attempt since Ronald Reagan in 1981.
Seen as the president emerged from the Washington Hilton Hotel.
That video that you just saw was the assassination attempt right here, the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan in 1981. The suspect of the suspected shooter of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump has been verified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 21-year-old male from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. He was gunned down by counter snipers after the attempted assassination on Donald Trump during the rally. The FBI also recovered an AR-styled rifle and bomb-making materials in his vehicle. And the incident has began investigation as an act of domestic terrorism.
Suspected shooter in the rally attack. Crooks is a native of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. That's about an hour from where the shooting took place. And he appears to have no criminal record. The FBI says this
guy's a kid.
Family is cooperating with the investigation at this time. And joining us now is Fox 5's Kendall Green. He's got the latest on what we are learning about the suspect's background and the questions surrounding security efforts leading up to the deadly shooting and what's being investigated as an attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Kendall.
Hey, good evening, Arthur. The 20-year-old suspected shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was gunned down by counter snipers after shooting the former president yesterday. And since that shooting, feds have recovered the AR-style rifle, along with materials used to make a bomb inside of his vehicle near the rally. Just one day after an attempt to assassinate former President Donald Trump, the investigation into the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, ramps up. The 20-year-old, officials say, fired a rifle from a rooftop just over 160 yards from the former president's podium Saturday at his final rally ahead of the Republican National Convention.
He would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays.
Crooks' classmates sharing he'd graduated high school just 2 years ago and was a target of constant bullying, but had no past criminal cases against him as FBI officials try to determine the motive in the shooting. They're investigating the attempted assassination as an act of domestic terrorism, maintaining their belief Crooks acted alone. Reporting the AR-style rifle used to shoot Trump was...
They said that he acted alone.
...was legally purchased by the gunman's father.
The gun was purchased by the gunman's father.
Yet it's unknown whether he took it without his father's knowledge.
The other thing here is... I'm all about equal rights of employment, but the woman in front of Trump is clearly Trump's a big guy. I think he's larger than 6 foot, 250-ish, I think. And this woman right here in the front behind the podium is significantly smaller than him. And there's a clear shot right there. Maybe there's an opportunity to reevaluate height and width of Secret Service people.
Knowledge.
What we saw yesterday, if you dissect the tape, was a textbook response.
Paul Eklof, former U.S. Secret Service special agent, praising the swift action of several agents who acted as a body shield.
They did a really good job
until the threat was neutralized by counter snipers above ground. But questions among former agents remain.
How did we get to a point where a perpetrator shot a former president of the United States?
That's the center of a Secret Service hearing set for July 22nd, aimed to get more crucial details from the shooting. Melanie Burkholder, former Secret Service agent turned politician, one of many seeking answers.
Where was that manpower, and why didn't the Secret Service have that in place at that time? I can only go back to, were there requests made by the campaign, by the Secret Service to have additional resources? Did they go unnoticed? Were they just flat out denied?
Investigators are combing through every detail of the 2022 high school graduate's background and his social media. His political ideologies remain unclear at this moment, but it appears Crooks was a registered Republican who stayed off law enforcement's radar until this weekend.
Now, I wanted to talk about a little bit of a broader implications of this particular event, particularly how narratives and rhetoric play a crucial role in shaping these kind of actions. This is what happens when you have narratives, and narratives have consequences. The way that we verbalize events and connect the dots makes its way into all of culture. It's politics. It's a downstream of culture. The rhetoric we use shapes political behavior. This is especially true in a polarized environment, just like we are now in the US. The language we use and the stories we tell can escalate situations drastically. For instance, framing political opponents in extreme terms, like comparing them to Hitler, creates existential battlegrounds in people's minds. This type of rhetoric can lead to extreme actions like we saw the other day and the attempts on former President Donald Trump's life. I want to reinforce this because it's not just about what's said. It's about how it's received in people's minds. Media, mass media plays a huge role in this, whether you're left, right, up, down, whatever the situation is. Understanding how narratives are framed by different media outlets are extremely crucial. Both sides reinforce their views, often leading to biased interpretations. So that being said, we have the opportunity to recognize the power of our words, both as individuals and as leaders of this country and leaders in general. Specifically pertaining to media figures. Media figures are semi-responsible for the way that they create and conjure stories. Their language to avoid violence is incredibly important. Secondly, we need to strive for thoughtful discourse and unity within this country, because to see this, super sad. To see an assassination attempt on a former president, it's super sad. Instead of framing political debates as existential threats, we need to focus on constructive conversations, not relating this person to Hitler. To understand the gravity of this situation, let's take a closer look at what happened that day. Thomas Matthew Crooks, a young man with no prior criminal record, attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. The incident unfolded very, very quickly.
Just one day after an attempt to assassinate former President Donald Trump, the investigation into the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, ramps up.
Again, we watched that footage, and the incident unfolded very, very quickly, with Crooks firing from a rooftop 160 yards away from Donald Trump's podium. Thankfully, counter snipers neutralize the threat before further harm can be done. Unfortunately, one individual was killed during this rally. The incident now is being treated like a domestic terrorism by the FBI, who believe Crooks acted alone. I want to break down the timeline and the key events leading up to this shocking attempt. Crooks graduated from high school just 2 years ago. He's 20 years old, guys. He was known to be a target of constant bullying, despite having no criminal record. He was bullied at school, and not to say that being bullied should lead you to this. But again, guys, there was an an AR styled rifle and bomb making materials found in his vehicle. This raises questions about all of his motives, and how he managed to get so close to the president without anybody knowing. Security experts, obviously, as we watched the previous video, have praised the response of the Secret Service team and other law enforcement agencies. They called former Secret Service Special Agent, I'm going to butcher this name, Paul Egloff, former U.S. Secret Service Special Agent, called this a textbook response. Agents acted as human shields as they surrounded Donald Trump until the threat was neutralized. But the incident also raises questions about security protocols going into the event. I know that they were wanding and checking folks, but they can get deeper security protocol. I know he was 160 yards out, but we got to figure out how to protect not just Donald Trump, but any political leader in open situations like this. As we dive deeper into the security aspects, the essential question is, how did we get to this point? How did this individual get so close and have the opportunity to even shoot from 160 yards away? After this event, we have to look at the second and third implications of the consequences of the narratives that are actively spoke. Because remember, guys, our words are spells. The way that we frame events and languages we use have a profound impact on the public behavior. Like I said earlier, in highly polarized times, and this is a highly polarized election, it's more important than ever to be mindful of narratives and potential propagandas that may be spewed out. Plain and simple, leaders have to strive to unite one another, not divide. Unite one another, not divide. Trump is not the one creating all of these narratives. Trump is simply giving form in language and the embodiment to a feeling that people have. And some people might not like that. It's incredibly important to understand the perspectives and not dig deep into media propaganda. Leaders need to articulate the concern and emotions of the populace of the United States with thoughtfulness and crucial, constructive outlook. This is not about Trump or any single leader. It's a broader responsibility for anyone in a position of influence and power. So where do we go from here? It's clear that extreme narratives can lead to extreme actions. As a society, we need to foster a culture of thoughtful discourse and unity, plain and simple. This means recognizing the power of our words and the impact that they have on us and one another. It also means holding our leaders accountable for promoting a narrative that brings people together rather than tearing them apart. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys out there. I'd love to hear from you guys and your thoughts on the role of the narratives in shaping our political actions and actions as a culture. Do you agree with my particular viewpoints? Do you agree with the mass media viewpoints? Do you agree with the consequences and the rhetoric that's spewing out from all angles? And how do you think we can foster a more united and thoughtful discourse for our society? That is plain and simple. Drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.